Awesome. Good to go?
Yeah.
Awesome. Hello, welcome. I'm Jenny Townsend, owner of Music Compound. This is the Lunch and Learn series. I'm here with Shannon Fortner. We are going to be talking about inspiring original music and developing that platform here on the Suncoast in Sarasota. So thank you for joining us. We're excited to share. Our podcast is about 15 to 20 minutes, so hopefully you'll stay for the entire time. Welcome, Shannon.
Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. So Shannon and I ran into each other, was it last week?
This was last weekend, yeah.
Last weekend, and we've known each other. How did we meet? I was trying to think about that, how we met.
I don't know. I just remember coming down here to talk to you because you were going to be moving away, and there was a job opportunity.
Yes. It was my Studio 32 and all that stuff was happening. That's right. So that was several years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. So anyway, so we met up again last week at the Bazaar, at the Vegan Festival.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so we got to talking, and what you're trying to do here in the community is absolutely amazing. Shannon is a huge advocate for the arts in our community, and she does a lot of events. We share a lot of the same passion, so I was like, you have to be on my podcast. So this week it's all about inspiration, and Shannon's going to share with us her thoughts on creating a platform here in Sarasota. Well, maybe regional, right? It's not just Sarasota. Is it Manatee as well?
Well, it's bringing even national bands, but it's just for our community to have original music and a platform for where we can thrive and network and even just potentially tour with bands that are developing here. So
cool. All right. So share your idea, share what you're wanting to create. Talk to us about original artists, because we have a lot of original artists, but none of them are actually performing any of their original music because I think a lot of them aren't getting gigs. Or a lot of the restaurants or a lot of the places want cover bands, or at least that's my impression. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. But they want music that people know. But talk to me about that, and by all means, be real, be blunt. Like, this is the real thing, okay? So tell us what you think.
Well, we're a beach, community. When you think about like Siesta Key, it's a lot of the restaurants and clubs out there. They definitely are looking for cover bands, and it trickles out through the rest of the community that there's a lot of venues and also lack of venues, to be honest, but that are paying musicians, and if they are well paid, they're usually cover bands. And there's this stigma around that because a lot of people feel like they have to do cover songs to get paid. And I am here to say that that's not the truth. And my first band, Spontaneous Habit, we played only originals, and any of my bands that I've done, only originals. But would play 3 45-minute sets and get paid like $600 to $800.
Wow.
To perform here in Sarasota at different venues, and we performed like 2 or 3 times a week.
Wow. So when you're saying original music, so let's break that down. I mean, are you writing those lyrics? Is it a collaboration unit? Like, where are you guys getting this original music?
We write the music together as a band. I write all my own lyrics and all my own melodies. So we collaborate in that space, and it's a group effort where I've never been like, even if it's a song that I brought to the table, but it's just, it has to be focused on in a band setting as well,
obviously they're playing the instruments and all that. So do you have a certain genre or a certain focus of lyrics that you tend to share?
Most of my bands have been, my first band was a down-tempo trip-hop acid jazz band. And then Meteorize came, that's electro synth punk pop. And then I had Astralis, which was kind of like a dream pop project that I did for a little break that I had with Meteorize, and was really a wonderful opportunity as a vocalist for me because I had a lot more vocal space, I think.
So that's your passion is obviously original music. When did you start writing music?
With my cat Tinkerbell when I was like 8.
Oh my! That young?
Yeah, I used to. I used to have. Is when my parents first got a karaoke machine, so like in the 80s.
Okay.
And I kidnapped the microphone from it, and I had a double cassette player with a record player. I had like the combo.
This is before iPads, iPods, and YouTube.
And I used to experiment and like slow records down, and then I'd try to like manipulate the sounds, and I would record vocals over it. Wow. And I even found recently a cassette tape that I had Lucid Excur. I can't even remember. I don't even know how at that age I came up with this weird name.
Okay.
But a very obscure name for my project I was doing.
Wow.
And I used baseball card holograms that I cut up to make like for the cover.
I love this. So creative at such a young age. So what inspired that? When you think about, I mean, obviously the karaoke machine, obviously. So your parents, were they musicians?
My mother was, she always, when I see her, she says, you got that from me. Of course, that's always going to happen. But I mean, growing up, my memory was my mother played this Lowry organ, and I sat in a rocking chair as a child. She sang in a cover band of, I forget what it was. There was like 3 women singers. I don't know. So she was in like a cover band project when she was younger. But so my memory of her is just really singing songs and playing the organ.
Okay.
So that's that. My father listened to talk radio, so yeah, that wasn't there.
Got it. Okay, so that's where the original artist came through. And then, okay, so talk to us just so we can learn a little bit more about you before we get into the nuts and bolts of why you're such an activist for the original artist as well. So you started writing your own music, and then what was the first instrument you played, or just vocalize?
I'm a closeted keyboardist.
Are you really? Okay.
Well, I write all my own music when I do my Moxie project, which is my solo project. Okay. And so I do play keys, and I'll even play guitar while I'm writing in a program.
Okay.
But even when I was younger, I had a guitar. I did take guitar lessons. I just was kind of all over the place, and they were teaching me Jack and Jill Went Up the Hill, and I was always like, oh, what bird, squirrel, whoa,
like most kids.
like most kids. And so I feel frustrated as an adult because I probably I wish I would have had more focus with learning the guitar.
It's never too late. Just so you know. I know a place that you can go for guitar lessons.
I know some people.
Right. Okay. And I think that's good advice, I think, for the kids as well that are watching, because a lot of times they don't understand the value of music education at a young age, and they don't understand the opportunity that their parents are providing for them, and they want to do whatever they want to do. And so many people wish they would have taken their music seriously as a child. But then again, it also depends too on the teacher and the atmosphere. And I think a lot of kids didn't want to learn that classical style music. They wanted to learn the music that they wanted to play, what they were singing to in their rooms, and they wanted to be on, like, the people on stage. They weren't doing classical pieces if you were hearing them on the radio or watching rock shows and concerts. So, I think that goes into the approach as well, which is what we're into. But.
Yeah, my favorite thing to do is to play drums, because I have a studio in my house. So to go out and sit on the drums and put like my favorite band on and play along with them.
Okay.
That's something that I find it's entertaining for myself, but also it just feels good.
And it energizes.
And it's something that I wish that approach was a little bit more when I was a kid, but that was not a thing at all. So.
No. So all these instruments that you learn and then creating the original music. So when you're composing it and you're putting it all together, you're able to play all the instruments to figure out the sound that you want?
Yes.
Okay. And then do you kind of have an idea when you present it to the band members? Are they all coming with different ideas? Like, what's a writing session like? And I'm just saying in general, because I've never been part of a writing session. But like when you're all coming together, how does that break down in the collaboration?
I think for me specifically, is I'll present a piece that I've been working on. And of course there's going to be some,
It's okay.
Influences. We're live. Some influences, and I think that's the key component about having bandmates.
Right.
Is that there's influence that maybe necessarily wasn't part of the writing process for you, but the great thing about a band is that it's not specifically one genre or one specific sound, because when you come together, it really kind of evolves and becomes this original sound that you really can't get. It changes when you change out players. It's different. So for me, it's I share the piece that I've been working on, and a lot of times I'll be like, hey, but that guitar part, that run, it's just really important for me. So just I think communicating on things that could be changed, or that you specifically really feel connected to, that you really have to hear that one part. And my bandmates have been really great about it. And George, my guitar player in Meteorize, is the same way. He'll send us some really cool videos of something he's been working on.
Yeah.
And then we do Live Ableton with Meteorize, so that's like a whole nother process that you could get into, because then we used to have a synth player, but we had to stop touring because we kept trying to replace ours for a while. And then we started doing Live Ableton, and we write all the synths ourselves, and it kind of brings more of that team effort.
Right.
You know, so someone will work on the bass, and then we'll do this different synth lines, and it is nice working on that as a whole team.
Right.
So.
And you're talking about Ableton. So we have a lot of kids that are taking Ableton lessons right now, and they're doing Pro Logic or Pro Tools, or they're two different ones, right?
All different.
All different, right. So I was in a lesson last week with Aaron, or actually it might have been Monday. I don't even know what day of the week it is, but I was learning about this Pro Logic or Logic Pro and all of this equalizer stuff and how you can add. Super cool, the technology. Now, a lot of people ask, is music production really an instrument, or can you consider that original music if you're creating it on, like, through those programs?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, first off, it's not an easy...
It's a debate.
First off, it's not that easy to know your way around, especially, like, Ableton. I mean, these are things that people will say, I mean, yeah, I've been watching for, like, I don't know, 5 years, maybe longer than that, of friends using Ableton or different DAWs, and it is hard, and you have simpler ones like GarageBand out there that are a little bit more approachable, a little bit more simplistic, but I when you're writing music in Live Ableton, you're still having to play, you're hooking up a MIDI keyboard, you're still playing. Yes, you can manipulate things to kind of correct it, but you're still creating music.
Right.
And I feel like it just gives that opportunity that it's almost, music is more accessible. And I feel like people have that, an easier approach to kind of finding their own sound, and the platform is really amazing. So it blows me away. So I'm grateful because Meteorize took a 3-year break, and now we're back, and we're about to release a new album.
So let's talk about your bands. Let's talk about what you're working on. And we're going to get into the meat of inspiring and talking about the platform, but I really think that you're just inspiring. I love all the projects that you're working on. So tell me about the bands, what you're doing, where you're touring, all that.
Okay. Meteorize is my love and passion. We toured for about 10 years. We took a 3-year break just to go and explore other projects. I was in a band called Astralis for a little bit, a dream pop band with some really amazing performers. We literally, I think, played 3 shows. Porch Fest was one of them.
Love Porch Fest. Love that event.
And we recorded a single, and that was it. And now we all regret, of course, not putting out the full album that we had worked on for. No, and we're actually revisiting that. It's just one of our bandmates lives in LA, and the other tours doing. He's the front of house engineer for a couple different bands. He was working with a band called Sales. Now he's working with a band called Drama, and there's another one, and he's just a powerhouse.
So when you say you want to release this album, does everyone have to live in the same place to release an album?
No, that's the great thing about technology and recording.
So it's just
really
getting it out there, and then maybe people pick it up, they play it on the radio.
Yeah, so it's just us having the time to really connect and pull it together, but it's something we've been discussing this past year.
And market it.
Yeah.
As well. And I do want to touch base a little bit on the marketing, because a lot of musicians not knowing how to market themselves or not putting the effort, and I think that's a topic in itself as well.
It's almost just as important as knowing how to play an instrument.
Well, that, and I want to talk about too etiquette as well. I didn't put that on the board to talk about, but musician etiquette and performance etiquette. But anyways, all right, let's talk about this original music platform that you want to establish, and you want to provide a place for original artists to perform, because I think that's really important, because a lot of them want to perform their original music. They're just, so how do they get hired? What do they do? Where do they go? How can you help them?
Well, first out, you start out as a garage band, because that's the thing. And you really hone your craft, and you get players that you really feel you connect with and that you're able to communicate with, and that you feel passionate and inspired to play music with. I feel like that's the beginning start of it. But once you have that and you start working on practicing, recording every practice, because I really feel like as a
Yes.
musician, that is something you can almost go back and review, like how you react to one another as musicians, but also how you can figure out to add different parts if you want a different change. It kind of gives you a little bit more accessibility to hear visually, kind of in a way. For me, I'm a visual musician, so for me, when I'm able to listen back to things, it gives me a better insight on possible changes that maybe might not happen, or there might be a specific melody that I did, but maybe I wanted to change the way I approached it. So having that, I feel like, is a really great opportunity, and especially when you're trying to really feel around with the different musicians that you're playing with to try and find the sound.
I think that's important too. If you think about all the professional teams, sports teams, they all watch the videos.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get our teachers to go back and watch our concerts, and get the kids to go back and watch themselves in concerts. Because I think at the same time, if they watch themselves, they're going to want to do a better job, or they're going to want to do something different, or they're going to want to engage with the audience more.
Yeah.
They're definitely going to want to change up that performance. And if they just keep performing and never go back and watch it, at the end of the day, yes, we're going to tell you you did a great job. Your parents are going to tell you a great job, because it's amazing to be on stage doing what you do. But there's always room to grow. And I feel like our adult band, actually, that's here, they record all of their rehearsals.
Mm-hmm.
That way they can go back and they can fine tune and just improve. So
Yeah.
I think that's a very valid point too.
Yeah. So it's a good opportunity. And then once you start putting songs together, I mean, you can go out to open mics, and honestly, when I first started playing music, that's where I actually met a lot of my bandmates eventually, and then we
Did
just
you ever play
kind
at
of
the Packing House Cafe, the open mic there?
No, I've went, and I've went and hung out and had some food and enjoyed myself, but no, they were always like, I live downtown, so it was always downtown.
So where are some of the open mics? If they're original artists, where would they go now? Like, are there places that do that?
I mean, there are lots, actually. I know that my friend Ernie Murphy tells me that the Mabel used to be the Growlers, but maybe will always be the Growlers, but has an open mic. I don't know if it's on Tuesday nights, but you'd have to check that out. But you just really need to, you can Google open mics in Sarasota.
And go there.
And there's lots of opportunities. I know that the Reserve has one as well.
Yes, I've been there.
So I feel like there's opportunities for that, and also really just to kind of put yourself out there as a solo artist. And it opens the opportunity to network and meet other musicians that possibly you could pull in to start working on a project.
Yeah, that's a really great that collaboration, which absolutely I love. So, okay, so I go out, I do open mics, and I do my original artist thing, but how do I get booked for gigs?
So, normally you need about a 45-minute set. And that's just if you're wanting to play on, like, a showcase or another show with any other bands. If you're trying to run your own night, which I would say that comes much later, usually it's like a 45-minute set,
wow,
performance.
That's a lot of original music.
Yeah, but it's totally doable. I had it.
Yeah.
I played with my first band, Spontaneous Habit, 10 plus years that we did it, and never did one single cover.
Do you feel like doing events is a better platform for them, or do you think they should try to approach the restaurants? Like, if I'm an original artist and I have a original band, and I'm like, I want to play locally and I don't want to play any cover music, where do I go? Who do I talk to?
Locally, you really have to build a name for yourself before you can start popping up on some events, like festivals or bigger events like that, because you really need to have a following. That's so how you build your following is really going and playing. Maybe your band goes back and plays at that open mic just so you can get a little,
that's a good point.
People start talking about, I saw this really cool group at open mic, kind of blew me away. So you kind of create a little buzz about your band and the project you're working on. And then eventually, these open mics, they might ask you to come back and perform on one of their nights.
On a weekend.
Yeah, to where they pay you.
Do scouters go to open mics? Meaning, like, people that are playing in events or people that own restaurants, are they going to open mics to source their
I feel like that's
there?
a word of mouth thing.
No.
Yeah.
Right,
I would say, possibly if they just, happen to be there. But I feel like they go to maybe festivals or other events, and then they find people that they might want to bring on as every Wednesday or every Friday they play, because that's the thing. I had a gig for that Spontaneous Habit. That was our thing. We played like every Thursday or every other Friday, or up in St. Pete we had a every other Friday gig. And
and building your following is huge as an original artist, because people want to book people that are going to actually bring people. I know if you're a restaurant person,
that's the only reason why they want to book you, really, honestly.
It's going to bring people. So talk to us about marketing, because a little bit, not that we have to go in full detail because I know we have a lot to cover. But if you're going to go out there, I think a lot of the artists forget to market themselves, or they forget to create video, or they forget to put pictures up, or they forget to engage.
Or it's hard for them.
It's hard for them.
It's a hard feel to feel like you're kind of selling something you're so passionate about.
Yeah.
And that mentality, it's like this. So it's important either you have a team that really supports you, or you figure out how to do it yourself. But it's completely different now from when I first started doing music. It's a different world because the platforms are just so accessible and they're so there.
Okay.
And I mean, social media is just in your face, and it just gives so many platforms and opportunities. So really marketing yourself is trying to, you come up with a name, something that is easy to remember, maybe has a story that's compelling that you can share later on in an interview. That always helps. Mm-hmm. But I won't lie, coming up with a band name is difficult. But when you're marketing yourself, you're creating an image. Totally. And that's why I say people struggle with this passion and trying to create this image and marketing yourself. But it's just as important as knowing how to play your instrument. Right. Because if you aren't able to market yourself, no one will know who you are. No one will know about your shows. You'll just be playing to the same people that love you, which is your family and friends. But if you can grow your network, and also that's the fun thing about having a band.
Yeah, totally.
It's because your network already expands. Let's say never more than 4, but I mean, you can do that. Who doesn't want a horn section?
Right.
But if you think about that, so you're creating your network with your band, and then so your band is this network. They have their friends and family, so you already have expanded your network. Mm-hmm. But then when you start playing shows, you're really building up this network and reach and creating this buzz about the project that you're doing. And when people can get behind and they're excited about what you're putting out in the world, they start talking about it. You create this buzz, and it is, marketing if you're going to release a single or an album or doing music videos, and with technology nowadays, it's way so much easier from when I started as a musician.
It's still challenging. I'm trying to do this myself, create videos and do all this stuff, and to me it's hard. But there's a lot of technology. Don't overthink it. At the end of the day, just get something out there.
I think it's the overthinking, because really I mean, there's so many apps out there. You can do, I've seen movies made with an iPhone, know, and when you think about a lot of music videos, there's some really cool apps available to create these, even for a promo video that you're thinking about doing. I mean, it's just really about getting content and, really getting a good recording. And that's another thing. A lot of people will overlook the quality, but we have some really amazing studios in town.
Do you want to give any shout-outs of any of the
I
studios?
do. Well, George, my guitar player,
okay.
He actually runs the Bay Sound Studios, which is the old Allman Brothers studio. Bud is back over there doing work. Yeah,
okay.
So
and I saw Hefe's sometimes in town too.
Yeah, so I mean, it's you're talking about something with rich history and just being able to go in and experience just thinking about all of the musicians that have come to record through there over the years. I mean, so much history. And so George, Bob Frank is the engineer there, and I actually had the privilege last night to record vocals for Meteor as this new album coming up. And it's really important because I, as a musician, we've been like, oh, we don't have the money, we're going to record ourselves. And it's cool if you're just trying to get together a demo and people know it's a demo. And an EPK is super crucial also. You can Google that and figure out how to set that up. But it's important to really take yourself serious and take the time, go play some shows. And I won't say that I do a band fund, and that's how a lot of, when you start really wanting to invest in yourself and in the bands, I do a band fund. We don't pay each other out money after each show, and that's how we toured for all these years, is creating a band fund, and then when it's time to go into the studio, we have funds set aside that we can go and record, and we're not struggling like, oh, I wasn't making enough money this week to be able to chip in. So it kind of shifts that mentality when you think about band, you're trying to invest, you're trying to build this platform, and you're investing in yourself as a team. It makes a huge difference.
Okay, I love this concept. So wait a minute, just so I can wrap my brain around this. You guys would have gigs out in the community, and instead of paying yourself, you would just put that into the band fund that would pay for the future of the band. That's brilliant.
If we went on tour, we had money saved up, so it would cover cost of things. So if we weren't working to go on tour, which that happens, unless you are cool and you're like techie and you're like working on a computer,
you can work on the road,
which
right.
That's a thing. Think about that for future jobs. But it makes a huge difference, and the struggle isn't there, and it's a lot more accessible, and gives so much opportunity. Yes, of course you want to get paid out after you play a show, but it depends where you're at in the project. And
it's making sacrifices, and I think a lot of people, number one, some people need the money in the pocket, but they're not thinking ahead, and that's where I've kind of struggled with some musicians, especially ones that wanted to be teachers. You know, it's like, well, I have this gig, so I can't do that. I'm like, but the gig is the same night as the concert of the kids that have been paying you to come all week, or for the past few months, you know, that gig. So, and trying to get people to think more career or long-term based, you know, I think everyone's so prone, like just waiting tables. You get that money in your pocket. You know, you're not thinking about putting it in the bank. You're not thinking about your future sometimes. At least that's what my perspective is.
Yeah, no, it's like, the same. I mean, it's definitely the same concept. Yeah.
So I love that idea of like having a common vision for your band and where you guys are going to go and everybody believing in that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe there's a middle ground where you start, like, everyone starts getting paid out if you're not planning on touring or doing any recording or anything like that, but I think it's important to think about in the very beginning stage of a band, and
what's the long-term goal?
And long-term goal. So, like, right now, Meteorize, we all have careers, so, of course, our money is going into it so we can start, you know, put out this 10-inch record that is not going to come out of our pockets because we've been investing in ourselves. Right. So we're going to be doing that, and it's exciting when you have, when you've been playing some shows and you've been saving up and you're like, all right, this is the band budget, and it's different versus like usually there's like that one or two people in the band that are really kind of flipping the bill, and it's really not fair. And of course, there's going to be that one bandmate that's like, I really need this money, but it's got to be about like having a band that's dedicated to be something more than just being able to pay the next bill.
Right. And just gig-based, but thinking long-term.
Yeah, and I mean, and there's nothing wrong with getting paid out. I'm definitely putting that out there as well. But this builds opportunity. And if you're trying to think about longevity, like thinking about big picture, it makes things a little bit.
It's like starting a business when I think about it. Like when I started Music Compound, I didn't pay myself for 3 years. I worked for free for 3 years. Literally. 3 years. And that's a lot of time to work with no money. So now, yes, I get paid.
Sorry.
So now I get paid, but at the same time, so it's almost like starting a business. Like there's going to be gigs that you don't get paid for, but at the end of the day, you're going to make money long term by investing it now. So, okay, so going back to the original artist, going and playing open mic nights, what are some events or what are some things that they should be exposing themselves to, or who can they call to like tell them, hey, I'm going to be playing here, so they can possibly get booked for future events?
If you're playing original music, you can email me and definitely put yourself on the radar. I mostly work with bands. It's really hard for singer-songwriters, but that is something, like I said, doing more pop-ups, which we'll talk about later. Yeah. But so trying to create that platform where I can be a little bit more averse, like working with singer-songwriters and bands. But, I do the Ringling Underground. I have several platforms that I'm always looking for original music.
Do you want to talk about any of those platforms? Or do you want to
Sure. I mean, I can. So
yeah, let's talk about some of those original events that you host and where they are and a little bit. And then we'll get to the pop-ups.
Okay. So Ringling Underground is an amazing event that I started working with the Ringling Museum back in 2011. And originally it was just music, and then they were opening up the art galleries. And I book a local, regional, and national band. And the reason behind that is so I can create a network opportunity for local and regional and national bands. So they can start talking to maybe the headliner that's playing, and hey, I might be, which I actually witnessed that with the band Moonkiss, which was amazing, that just played from New York City. they were talking to the band from Tampa, St. Pete, Photo Fire, that came down, and they were like, hey, if you're ever in New York, hit us up. You know, so when you can see these opportunities really, like, unfold right in front of you, you're like, it's working.
Right.
So I book
like
only original music.
And stuff. Yeah.
So I book only original music, and that is my main platform. And it's hard for me to do a solo artist for that because it's like literally an 8 to 11 event. It's like a mini music festival crammed into 3 hours.
And it's a large venue.
Yeah, and it's in the Ringling Museum. It's
Right.
in the courtyard. Normally, if it's not in the rain plan, you'll play under the statue of David with the moat in front of you. If it's in the rain plan, you play under the loggia, which is a little bit more intimate.
Mm-hmm.
And we just experienced that this last one.
Right.
But I bring bands from all over the country. I've even brought a band from England before with that platform. And it's a great opportunity for Sarasota to get bands that otherwise would never come to Sarasota or would maybe didn't even know it existed. But
Right. And those are the first Thursday, or what? I think like they're on a Thursday or not.
So it's seasonal. So we have the spring and the fall series, and it's focused around when the students are in town. So it's free for students and members, and then so it's February, March, April, and it's the first Thursday, and then it starts back up September, October, November.
Okay.
And it's seasonal, and we're actually in the works of talking about doing a bigger version, like a big festival version of it. But it's on the books, like, or at least on the table. We're talking about it, so hopefully we can get that locked in. But we did add installations. I think the second series of it. So now we have like regional artists that are displaying their artwork or installations as well during. So it's a really great opportunity for just artists and musicians. So
Awesome. Well, if you ever need any young kids, we have a couple original artists, so I'd love to get them into one of those events. With a bigger festival where you maybe have some studios or like
some time,
or like a lot of them do keys or things like that. So if you needed to plug some of the studios or the art galleries with musicians, we have some kits for you.
Okay.
So, okay, cool. So let's go. I mean,
I got one more.
Yeah.
Sorry. And then Gator Club. So one of the oldest music venues in Sarasota.
Mm-hmm.
They, Josh has been really amazing, and I've been doing this for the past 4 years. I think I might have stopped at 4 years, but so I've been doing it for 4 years, and I book a showcase similar to that. I mostly try and book local, but I do bring regional bands down, and if there are any touring bands, I also throw them on. But that's every second Wednesday of the month at the Gator Club downtown on, and it's downstairs, and it's from, 9:30 to 1, and it's free. There's no cover. And it's just a great opportunity to have a space like that downtown that supports original music. Unfortunately, that's the only night. Well, actually, Lisa Silvermore is starting to do the other Wednesdays that I'm not doing. And that was someone that I frequently booked as a local musician. So that was kind of a cool opportunity to see that blossom. And Lisa, now is performing there.
That's amazing.
And getting paid to play original music. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So we have still a couple of things to cover, and I just want to make sure we get it in our time frame. So since we're on the event topic, let's talk about Harvey Milk, if you don't mind, and then we'll go into pop-ups.
Okay.
And then we'll talk briefly about the venues, just because we've got about 10 or 15 more minutes.
Okay.
And then we've got to rock out. So
right.
you're so interesting. I think all of this is great information as well. So anyways, let's talk about this fabulous event too, because I think this is another reason how we came into contact, because we were a sponsor 1 year.
Yes.
Like that.
So the Harvey Milk Festival is a platform that I created for the community, both for a political platform, also just so we have a place where we can bring musicians that are allies, also queer musicians, to come together and honor the life and legacy of Harvey Milk. And I created an arts organization. This will be our 11th anniversary coming up in May. And so we have 10 bands that perform. We have a keynote speaker. We have vendors, lots of artisans and nonprofit organizations talking about whatever platforms they have. And it's just a really great community event. We also have, I have a dancer coming from San Francisco that I've been speaking to for about 2 years about bringing his dance company down. He's just doing a duet with another dancer, and that's at Sarasota Art Museum, which is a big deal for me, because I've been working with Anne-Marie and their team for about 4 years. And so we have the dance performance with James Graham, and then we also have Jess Pope and Amber McNew. They're doing their vignettes, opening up for James, and so that's a really great opportunity for our community when you think about the arts. So that's dance, and then we also have an art exhibition for our opening night, which is the 7th, and that's located at 20 Lemon Avenue at a fine arts gallery down there. So.
Okay, which one is it?
It's I might say it wrong, Ligon?
Okay. I live down in that area.
Ligon.
I live in that area, and I just saw this girl, Lexi.
The lipstick one?
Yes,
she's
Lipstick
awesome.
Lexi.
Yeah,
And I saw her at a studio the other day. Actually, her grand opening, I think, is like tonight or tomorrow. It's actually the 14th. I want to go to it. So, awesome. So we should definitely, when we finish today, Otto Kanye is going to be there.
Yeah, Otto Kanye, yeah.
Jared's band is going to be at Harvey Milk Festival, so we're all going, just as an FYI. So we're really excited to see his name on there. Obviously, there's lots of sponsors as well. Do you have still sponsorships that you're selling for that event?
Yes.
What about volunteers? You need volunteers?
Always need volunteers. So we're an all volunteer-based organization, and we thrive by being community-focused and community-driven. So we're always wanting more people to reach out. If you want to join a committee, we're looking for a fundraising chair or fundraising goddess or god, whatever you want to call that.
That is a god.
It is.
Fundraising is so hard.
Yeah, it is. So, we have some big things on the horizon and definitely are trying to get a stronger team. I guess dream team is like the phrase of the week for me. So
that's my phrase like every single day. It's the dream team.
Exactly.
So as you can see, I mean, obviously you're very passionate about the arts. You're very passionate about the community, which I am as well, which makes me love you even more. So let's talk about. We'll drop links on here so people can go and see the events. Let's talk about the pop-up events that you want to do. Slide into the venue and kind of like where you see us going, Sarasota, and the community that you're trying to build.
Well, doing more pop-up events, I do the Ring Lane Underground, I do Harvey Milk Festival, the Gator Show Originals showcase once a month, but I feel like we need more, and I'm starting to see a lot of people trying to do things, little one-offs, and it might pop up, and it might, one or two things, but really seeing like these key players, so creating this dream team, and also doing a call to, hey, join my dream team. But trying to create these pop-up events where we can have more going on in our community and offering a stronger platform both to network but also to strengthen like visibility for local original music and also to bring down other bands, like I said, so we can network, so regional and national touring artists to come through. And so doing these pop-up events, it'll either be similar to what I did with Meteorize. We used to just take over restaurants that might not have been a music venue and went in and discussed an opportunity with the business owner and said, hey, you close at this time. What if we did a percentage of the bar and we did a cover? How do you feel about this? We'll bring the PA in and do these pop-up events. And it might not just be in a restaurant or a bar downtown. It might be like a festival, like a little mini festival that's popped up on like an empty lot that you've been staring at, or all of us have been staring at, or at other venues like the Bazaar or Fogartyville, all these. So I think these venues that really aren't being utilized when you think about original local music, and Fogartyville does have they bring some amazing musicians to town. So I think reconnecting our community to these spaces we have, but also creating more pop-ups to where we might not have availability. Right. Because sometimes the venues that we do have are booked out. Mm-hmm. And so when you think about, I'm a planner, I like to plan a year out, but I'm up for like 6 months out. Sometimes I'll try and do things less, but it's just, when you do things right, you're able to market correctly and able to really get the word out.
And get the good people as well with that aren't already booked too. Mm-hmm. So as I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking, okay, first of all, think of Studio 32, our venue here, which you have to check out because it's way different than when you were here 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago. Okay. So I'm almost thinking like it's almost like we need to get the people that own the venues with the original artist or with you and kind of build this. I'm like all about building this dream team of changing local music and getting some really big advocators and maybe some people that actually want to fund this. You do have a nonprofit, right? So
Yes,
you can get grants and you can get funding. The Sarasota County and the city actually have money to, and like, not that Visit Sarasota, you want to go to them, but Visit Sarasota as well. But there's a lot of money that if you are bringing people here, so I can connect you with those people, but you may already know them. But if you're interested in joining this dream team, definitely let Shannon know or contact me and then I'll put you in contact with her because I absolutely love it. All right, so just to round out, talk to me about where you want to see the community in a year, 2 years, 5 years, or what are you going to be doing?
Currently I'm working on a performing arts center, specifically with Harvey Milk Festival, so I can expand our programming that we do, but also to utilize it as a music venue for our community. Because if you think about everyone that drives to go see their favorite musician that's finally come to Florida, because Florida's a weird spot. It's you're in and you're in it. You know?
Yeah.
When you think about Florida, there's no like hopping over to the next state.
No.
So when you come into Florida, and the biggest issue that Florida has is there's not enough middle-sized venues. There's a lot of large venues and there's a lot of small venues. And so when you're thinking about the acts that we really are looking to see to come through Florida, we don't have that middle-sized venue.
What is considered middle-sized? Like 500 seats or like 1,000 seats? Like what's middle-sized?
I mean, yeah, like 1,200.
Okay.
Yeah. So
if someone had a warehouse that was large, that was downtown or wherever.
Downtown Edge.
Downtown Edge. There's lots of warehouses, and I'm going to share this with a couple of my realtor friends that have places down there. Joe Hembry is one of them. In the Edge, we need your space. Shannon wants your space. Maybe there's a joint venture that could happen or something.
Yeah.
So, continue. Sorry, I just wanted to make the point.
No, that's fine. That's great.
I have
Thank
no
you.
problem asking anybody for money. Just
I know.
I do not want to be the fundraising god, though.
But I do love you, and we will. We're gonna have a coffee date because this is super crucial for our community. So just saying that. So when you think about like hard rock or like Janice Lanning, when you kind of like think about those kind of like level of venues, even St. Pete's changing. St. Pete's in this very weird. I love St. Pete, but you know what's happening? Condos are coming in. They're pulling out all these like opportunities for venues. They're pushing all the music is going to go off of Central. It's going to be pushed out, and that's
fantastic.
I know, and it's really hard to see, but it's also pushing people to really make it happen. I have some really good friends up there that were doing a kind of DIY space, and now they're doing it serious. They're serious. They have some investors, and so I think it pushes us a little bit further to really get it done right. So, but this is something that I think that we can bring musicians that otherwise don't look at Sarasota, and maybe they just run right down to Miami, but most often they kind of dip in and then they dip right back out from Florida.
Are you familiar with the listening room of Sarasota? If not, Google the listening room. Paul Schatz, he runs it. And it was basically this organization that was doing it like in community centers that housing developments, basically.
Oh, okay.
And so now they host it here every month or every 2 or 3 months. Or they have 2 or 3 artists that come through on a monthly basis. It's all touring artists that are in between like Tampa, Miami, Orlando, and they make a pit stop here as well.
Oh,
so
okay.
I think that would be a really great contact for you. So it's the listening room of Sarasota. His name is Paul Schatz, so you can connect with him.
I feel like I know.
You may know him. He's been here.
Okay.
And you probably have seen some of the artists he's brought in. What I also like about the space that you're wanting to create, just from coming from Asheville, is a working space for local artists as well. So I almost feel like it could be dual purpose and have artists, because you have an interest in that as well.
Because I want to do artist studios and also create a platform where it could be a band practice space. Because when I talk to a lot of musicians and the struggle that I see, and I know because I remember we had a warehouse space we shared with like 3 bands, or so it's not always accessible to have a practice space, or we're now annoying our parents because they're just really overhearing like our bands in the living room.
Right.
It's Florida, no basements, so.
Right. I'm going to do a shameless plug, though, for our venue back here, because we rent it for bands from 8 to 11, Monday through Thursday. Now, Johnny Barker's band's here on Monday, and then there's another band already. But if you need, or you know anybody else, or anybody out there watching, in the meantime, until Shannon gets her place rocking and rolling, You can rent our space. It's $35 an hour, 2-hour minimum, and that's Monday through Thursday. It's available from 8 to 11 or 8 to 12.
C bands.
So if you need a place, obviously, if you can get a free place, that's always better. Especially when musicians don't have a lot of money and they're trying to get money to get the gig, and then they're trying to record. And so I understand, but at the end of the day, it's like power, and all of our gear is here. So it's literally plug and play.
Oh yeah,
like we have a nice Tama.
See, I have a lot of bands that are like, "Where do I go?"
Yeah.
Guitar Center. And you're just like.
Yeah.
What? You go to what? Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and then obviously you're practicing in a venue, and if you wanted to host your own show and sell tickets and things like that, you just rent the place from us for an hourly rate, and then you can charge whatever you want. We don't really care. So, but anyway, so you want a place to have rehearsal studios for the bands. Totally cool with it. I support it. I love it.
But yeah, so I think more. I feel like some bands are like, they're working, they're getting off work, and it's late. I don't know how late that's open, so that's... The other thing I remember that Meteorize, we would practice at like 10 o'clock at night. I know, yeah. So, and that's the difficulty with trying to like figure out, I'm used to that, like 10 o'clock, starting up band practice, and that's like after everyone gets out of work.
I have to tell you, that's how this whole concept of Music Compound came about. I was working at the Packing House Cafe serving tables, swear to you. And then I was also working at Leroy Selman serving tables. And all these musicians wanted a place to jam and practice. And I was like, why don't I just rent a warehouse for you guys? And literally it was like, well, we can't really be there till like 11 or 12. And I'm like, well, how late are you going to go? And it was like 3 or 4 in the morning. And I was like, oh, those are not hours that I want to work. And that's where I switched the concept to music education so that the music education side of it could sustain it and support it, so then the bands could have it at nighttime. But we can't go after 11 p.m. But same thing. It's like it's late at night. It's late at night, and it costs money, and you're already tired. Being a musician is hard.
It's dedication for sure.
Oh my goodness.
And that's why I'm in a lot of like, a venue, they're like, oh, we'll pay you $100 to come and perform. And when you think about that, it's hard because I feel like the music scene here really was strong with Pain. And I struggle because I don't really have the platform for the people that I'm working with to really give as much as what a band deserves. But when you're a music venue and you're bringing out, or a restaurant, and you're bringing out a band to play, and they're like, I'm going to give you $50 and you can have some drinks,
or tips or whatever, or food.
And it's hard, especially if you're playing like a 45-minute set, and that's a reality. That is a thing. Mm-hmm. In my platforms, I'm not able to pay exactly what I want to pay. I'm a huge advocate for making sure the bands get paid, but there's that struggle with, in most of my events, they're playing like a 30 or 45-minute set,
right?
When they are playing. With the events that I'm doing, but it's trying to create where we can have this proper music venue where we can have like the local or regional bands open up for a big headliner and actually be paying bands properly.
Right. So let me ask you this. So I don't know much about Bayfront 2020, but I'm learning about it.
Yes.
And there's going to be some type of music venue there,
It's going to be an amphitheater. Because actually one of the consultants actually met with me when they first were talking, and they were like, so what would you like to see? And I said, well, an amphitheater. So
they're going to do that.
They're going to do an amphitheater.
Essentially, there's going to be something in the future, but it wouldn't be like this whole other concept that you're thinking. It's going to be there where we can bring in some of these names you're talking about.
Yeah. And it's definitely on the horizon. I don't know when that's actually a build out. So, but I mean, that's also an amphitheater and an opportunity, but we're looking at long time goals, and it is also Florida. Right. So I'm looking for like indoor. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Awesome. So we're going to wrap up here at Music Compound with a Lunch and Learn with Shannon. We'll drop a lot of links below so that you can access the events that Shannon's talking about. If you want to join her dream team, how do they get a hold of you? Facebook, email, what is it?
No Facebook.
Okay.
Email, shai@harveymilkfestival.org.
Okay.
I check my email. I'm a hustler on the email. Messenger, I might be like, why? I don't mind if you reach out to me, but I like to shift things so I can stay more organized in email. Email is the way to go.
All right, so email Shannon, check out Harvey Milk Festival, connect with Shannon becoming part of her dream team. If you know of a warehouse that can house 1,200 to 1,500 plus people that we can convert, We would be interested in learning about that, so definitely contact Shannon. If you're an original artist, keep doing what you're doing. Get your music out there. Go to open mics. Contact Shannon. Get it out there. Start marketing yourself. And contact us here at Music Compound. So thank you so much for joining us. We hope your day rocks. Anything else to add?
No. Dream team.
Dream team. All right, we love you guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks.
Tune in next Wednesday as well for the next Lunch and Learn series. I'm going to have Elizabeth Top from Nannies, Twinkle Toes actually, a nanny company that we've partnered with, and much more. So thank you so much and have a great day.
Twinkle Toes.
Twinkle Toes. It's actually her birthday today too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,